What the hell is Bill O'Brien doing, ladies and gentlemen? He's out of control. We're going to talk a lot about Bill throughout this podcast. Before we get into that, we're all four of us self-quarantined here, so we're over our mics at our own locations, and we might have a little different quality than usual. So I apologize in advance, but I think we'll be all right here. But
Yeah, Schefter said there were some rumors that Pigskin Pete had the corona due.
No.
Yep, so we got better to be safe than sorry.
No.
yeah, no, I think we're all right. But yeah, better to be safe than sorry. But here we are, middle of free agency, on the 22nd here. I don't know if we call it the middle. You know, we got past a lot of the big signings, but there's still some big time names available. We'll get to those guys as well. But I'm just skipping past a lot of things. I just really want to get to everybody's so far their biggest winners and losers. That's just the most important thing here. That what I'm eager to get to here.
Are we cutting trades on this, or are we just talking free agency in general?
We can. Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, we can throw in the trades. I mean, I just want to know who. I mean, free agency's not over yet. It's not over, but I want to know who everyone thinks got a lot better. Like who's really standing out in terms of teams, and then who's standing out in terms of losers. I have quite a few for each of those categories, and I have a couple teams that I'm kind of iffy about. I wouldn't really call them losers, but I'm kind of on the fence. And then, I mean, we can go through a lot of this. We can talk about single signings, who are our best signings, who are favorite signings, who are the worst ones, confusing ones, and we'll talk about some of the trades that happened. Yeah, we'll get to Bill. We'll get to ripping Bill here. I mean, does anybody have the Texans as a loser? Because I sure do.
Yeah.
Yep, I sure
of course, yeah. Are they the biggest loser? I don't know. I think I have a bigger loser.
You have a bigger loser?
Ooh,
I have
what
a
a
bigger
tease,
loser.
Dan. That was good.
Let's hear
Yeah.
it. Let's hear it.
You
I'm ready.
You want me to break it right now?
Right now.
The Detroit Lions.
Detroit. I'm surprised by that one.
Not because of the transactions, other than losing Darius Slay, but as one of your best players, the most respected player in that locker room, leaves, and he's bashing your head coach. That's a real bad look, and that's going to lose the locker room real quick. That's the biggest loser so far. That stands out pretty bad for me.
You
I
went
had
bold?
I had them as a loser as well.
Why is that?
I mean I agree with
Same
Danny,
reasons.
and then same reasons, and then I don't know, just throwing money around. Like one of my worst, we're all over the place. One of my worst signings was Vitae for 5 years, 50 million. Like the guy was very inconsistent, doesn't have that much experience starting even. And they just give him a 5 year, $50 million deal. I thought that was really questionable. And then they went with Desmond Trufant over Darius Slay for some reason. That's definitely a big downgrade. It's very puzzling. And then Jamie Collins too, the same thing. Like you saw when he left the Patriots, someone paid him like a ridiculous amount of money, and he
on
was
the Browns.
yeah, it was the Browns. He was really bad, and then he went back to the Patriots and did pretty well. But now he's going to another team, and you just throw him more money. It's just kind of questionable what they're doing.
Well, I got a sleeper loser of free agency so far, but this could change. This could change.
Is it the Atlanta Falcons?
It is not the Atlanta Falcons. It is actually Jameis Winston. He's the loser of free agency so far. He was coming out trying to get like, what was it, 25 million per year, and right now
30 mil?
30.
with 30, even more.
Yeah,
And he
he
doesn't have
requested
a home.
30.
He may not have, like, I don't know what's going to happen to him.
He's
I know
gonna
we're
get
going to
picked
touch
up
on
by
that,
somebody.
but it's just so weird.
Yeah.
So
That's
weird.
weird.
Does everybody have multiple winners?
Yeah, I have
losers?
three. I have three winners and three losers.
All right, hang on to those for a second. I kind of want to backtrack a little bit and kind of talk about. I'm surprised two of us had the Lions. Yeah, the Jamie Collins one. I think he fits with Patricia because we know that Patricia came from the Patriots. We know he didn't work out with the Browns, but I think he has a specific role there. It's that utility linebacker that the Patriots use, the Lions use, the Dolphins use. So, I don't think it's a great signing or anything, but I don't really mind that one. But yeah, in terms of free agency, I don't know if I'd call the Lions a loser, but yeah, I see you guys' point with, I guess this whole period of since the league year started, I guess they could be losers because they trade away Darius Slay, and then could they be losing the locker room? That's kind of the question there.
Yeah, I just don't get that. Like the whole on Johnson thing, the obviously Darius Slay. That's
And former
not a
players,
good
yeah.
look. Not a good look.
So since we're rattling off losers, I mean, we already talked about the Texans, but let me talk about them some more.
Yeah, get him. Ream him.
Well, they traded DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, that's the obvious one. Let's just talk about. I'm going to go more into that because there has to be more than just trades for me to call them a loser in free agency. But some of the, I thought they would be a big spender in free agency. They had a good amount of money for a pretty good team. So, that and that on top of them trading DeAndre Hopkins, and then they're kind of going backwards, right? And they signed Randall Cobb. They signed. Vernon Hargraves. They traded for David Johnson. They re-signed A.J. McCarron, signed Eric Murray, Bradley Roby, who's a decent young corner. They give a lot of money to Jalen Watkins, who's a rotation defensive back. It just feels like just a mediocre free agency when they
touched on Randall Cobb.
Yeah,
I wasn't paying attention.
Randall Cobb. Yeah, I mean they needed to add somebody at receiver, so I mean I don't think that's a terrible, signing. 3-year, $27 million. I mean, that's actually
look at the other options out there.
Yeah.
There are receiver free agents out there.
This is my problem why I consider them a loser. There's several things, and everyone's always going to point to the Hopkins deal, but what I'm looking at here is just being mediocre when you're kind of in the driver's seat to take that next step. I think you needed a pass rusher big time. You obviously created another hole at receiver. They didn't go get a pass rusher. They're, for some reason, obsessed with gaining a million corners that are just mediocre, average at best. For some reason, Bill O'Brien and that staff is kind of just really wants to just add as many defensive backs that are just average at best for some reason, and that's kind of their focus right now. I'm still waiting on them to do something. And let me clear something up. I don't consider somebody a loser if they're not doing much. You see the fans on Twitter, they're just freaking out like my team's not doing. Like I'm not going to bash a team for that. Sometimes there's reasons for why they're not doing anything, but if there's mediocre signings involved, or they let this player go so they can pay this player and they don't pay this player. If they have the cap space, they're doing absolutely nothing. Sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's not. So I think some of these teams, they don't get a pass from me. They're not doing enough, but there's other things going on that make me call them a loser. And a team like the Texans just kind of being mediocre is the best way to sum it up. But I don't know if anybody wants to give us a winner so we can kind of get on a positive side here.
Well,
I got a
don't want
winner.
Loser.
Take it, Pete. Take
We're
it,
keep
Pete.
going to
Take it.
losers.
Oh,
I have
yeah,
the
go with
Rams.
Nancy over here.
I have the Rams as a loser as well.
The Rams
I don't know
were
what's
also a
going.
loser for me.
I don't know what's going on over there.
Loser for me as well.
Yeah, I mean, they're panicking over there.
It's a
They're
cap
just, like,
situation, isn't it?
They're
Isn't
cutting
the cap
people.
situation kind of bad?
Yeah. I mean, Pete can go on. I can branch off it a little
I
bit
mean,
too.
I don't get the Leonard Floyd signing. That was one of my confusing ones as well. Like a lot of money for they had to go and get him too. Like it seems like there's a lot of good edge prospects still out there. I know they lost Dante Fowler, but I mean they just gave Leonard Floyd like a 1-year, $13.5 million deal, which I just don't understand why they had to do that. And then Andrew Whitworth was like he was considering retiring last year, and also they gave him a 3-year deal, $30 million contract, and he's kind of fallen off a little bit. His play's fallen off, so it's kind of puzzling there as well. But yeah, I mean, we saw them. They go to the Super Bowl 2 years ago, and now they're kind of just falling apart. It's just not looking good.
Yeah, to kind of add on top of that, they were like kind of limited cap wise. So if they're not able to do much or not able to get like Littleton or Fowler back, I wouldn't call them a loser. But some of the things they're doing within free agency here, I'm considering them a loser. They pretty much set themselves up in the past. They all of a sudden didn't value the offensive line position as much. They cut some guys, moved on from some guys, kind of focused on Whitworth when he's kind of aging, and I mean he could still be decent. And then they paid Goff too much money. Mainly they paid the running back position too much money and Todd Gurley. And then they're limited in cap, and then now they have no choice but to cut Gurley. So here's where it comes into play of them being a loser for me. They cut Gurley. What's the reason to cut Gurley is to save money, and they're going out and they're spending their money on Leonard Floyd, who's proven you can't get to the quarterback. Ashawn Robinson has been a letdown for the Detroit Lions so far. They pay him $17 million over 2 years. He's proven absolutely nothing. The upside is he's still young. He can get better. He's going to play with Aaron Donald, but I mean that's kind of where they're choosing to spend their money. It just feels like this team got worse and heading in the wrong direction. So yeah, I definitely have the Rams as a loser as well.
Can we get positive over here?
You want to get
I
positive?
can get
Let's get positive.
All right, let's get positive.
And well, first we got to do one quick touch on the negative. My positive comes from Bill O'Brien, and I got the Cardinals as a huge winner. I think that they jumped into just like in the conversation to potentially being a competitive team. They can still add some more pieces. Kind of like a sleeper winner because like I know the obvious choice is like the Buccaneers. But I think actually with the Buccaneers too, you're going to see a lot of guys coming there for less money. Be interesting.
They have the Cardinals as a winner as well.
And so
Yeah.
do I. I mean, look at
Ooh.
they started with adding Hopkins, but then more than that, I want to see more than a trade for me to call them a winner in free agency. I kind of consider the trade in there because they acquired him during it, but I want to see more than just a trade where they got better. And tagging Drake, they got him back. I think they could have worked out a deal, but they still got him back. They had a couple linebackers. Devondre Campbell from the Falcons, who had a career year. They're going to throw him inside with Jordan Hicks. It's a 1-year prove-it deal, $8.5 million. I like that. Devon Kennard, who's only been at a pass rush position for maybe not even full 2 years now, and they're going to add him, opposite of Chandler Jones and a somewhat cheap deal. So. And they add Jordan Phillips. They need a defensive line. They're going to add Jordan Phillips in there from the Bills. He was highly productive last year. So we can sit here and say that the Cardinals most definitely got better. They definitely got better. So definitely a winner for me.
But that's not the team I was going to go with there. I would say that they're a winner, but really feeling these Browns right now. Got Jack Conklin. They got Austin Hooper. They got better on defense. They addressed a lot of needs, especially on the offensive side where we wanted to see where Baker Mayfield is going to take that next step. He didn't do it last year. He had some issues on that offensive line this year. They addressed it as well as the tight end position. They got better all the way around. I would expect to see Baker take a step forward this year. So excited by it. Browns. Wow.
You could make the case the Browns got better for sure. I didn't have them as one of my big winners, though. I think there's a lot of decent moves, I'd call it. I think Conklin got too much money, but I mean it's something that had to be done, and they definitely get better because of it. You could say they got better, but I didn't have them as a big winner.
I'm not necessarily looking at the money aspect of it. I'm looking at the players on the field and how they're going to
fill in needs,
help the team. Yeah, exactly right. They filled the needs, and it will help them on the offensive side. Long term probably not because they still got to sign some people. They signed Austin Hooper to that big deal as well as Conklin. So. We'll see down the line, but for this coming year, I'm excited about it.
Could it finally be their year? Finally?
No, they're not.
Oh, yeah, right. It's the Browns. It's the Browns.
Who else we got?
As a winner, Pete, give us one of your winners, Pete.
I had the Cardinals. I had the Bills. I thought the Bills did a great job. They desperately needed like a wide receiver one. They got that with Diggs. They did give up a lot, but that's definitely a big time target for Josh Allen. And then also, like, we already talked about, like, they were already a team that's on the rise, and, like, their defense is really good, but I like the pieces they added for defense. They got Mario Addison, Vernon Butler, Quentin Jefferson. They got Josh Norman. I think they still should probably draft a corner because Norman's still, I mean, he's pretty much done. He's only got a 1-year deal here, but I think they should draft a corner, get some offensive line, get another running back to add the rotation. I think they'll be pretty solid as long as Josh Allen takes the next step this year.
Okay. I got two teams in a different category. They're kind of in a category like the up to something category. They've made some moves. They seem like they're up to something bigger. I'm actually going to throw 3 teams in here. 3.
Let's hear them, all of them right now.
All of them right now. The Vikings are one of them. It's, to me, suspicious. They're letting a lot of their defense walk. Could it be? And they're trying to free up cap, restructuring some deals. They're going to make something happen. So that's one of the teams. We can go to Pete's Titans, who made the great signing in Vic Beasley, who somehow got less than Leonard Floyd. And they're, again, trying to wiggle some cap around. They're up to something. And then we're going to go ahead and say the Patriots, because the Patriots seem too calm for a team that just lost. They're too quiet for a team that just lost the greatest of all time. They're way too calm and quiet. They're up to something.
Is it rebuild mode? Is it let's just sit back and get some guys for cheap, maybe?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think
something.
It's. I mean, it's.
We're taking a pause. We're taking a pause.
Go ahead. No,
go
no.
ahead. No. I was just kind
I
of
was
jumping in there. I'm done.
I was just say we always do our podcast on Sunday, but I feel like it was the first wave of free agency, but I think it's way too early. We don't even know. Some of these guys don't even know like what the contracts are yet because they can't even sign the contracts yet. I mean, it's just too tough to even tell like what deals are great, what deals aren't great. There's still a lot of free agents still out there. That's all I was gonna chip in there.
Yeah.
Great chipping in,
Pete. I'm just saying, like I think Junior's right over here. I think like some teams are still up to something. Like there's still some good players. There's still teams freeing up space. There's still talks going on. So we'll see what happens.
Do you agree? You agree that your Titans are up to something?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, now with that being said, let me hear what you hope they're up to.
Hope they're up to. I mean, hopefully they get Clowney. That's what I'm pushing for. If not, hopefully they get. I would want to get Logan Ryan back, and then maybe like another edge rusher as well. Or I've seen like people talking about Derek Wolfe. I think he'd be a good pickup too. He would play our 3-4 end spot, and then Jeffrey Simmons would bump into Casey's spot. I think that'd be a good solid D line there. But I have one more winner too I want to throw in there before we got in there. Chargers I had as a winner. I like what the Chargers are doing. They got Brian Bulaga, 3 years, $30 million. I thought that was a steal right there, especially for like what some of these offensive linemen that are like I never even heard of some of these offensive linemen are getting paid, but he didn't get paid that much. I thought the Austin Eckler deal was pretty solid too. I think he's gonna take another step even this year with Melvin Gordon gone. And they got Chris Harris Jr. really cheap, and then their defense just looks, stacked in the secondary. They have so many pieces in the secondary. And then they got Linval Joseph as well to help out with the D-line. So I think they're heading in the right direction. I would like to see them get Cam Newton and draft a quarterback, but I think they're going to go with Tyrod. I'm going to go with Tyrod and draft a quarterback. Yeah, but I think they should just go ahead and get Cam in there and give him a shot because the team looks loaded. Yeah, the team looks loaded.
Cam signed for. He kind of has no.
He's gonna get cut. He's gonna get cut.
Yeah, it'd be a sight to see.
Riz, do you think that your Vikings are up to something?
I was actually gonna say the Vikings had no choice but to let a lot of the players walk. They were in cap space hell, weren't they?
Somewhat.
They've been doing some moves here, some sneaky restructuring.
So here's what I mean.
Cuts.
Short term. It doesn't look pretty. Long term, it's for their best interest, and it's sneaky good. To what Junior was saying there.
Kind of want to know what they're playing with.
How many of their starters did they lose? How many starters did they lose?
How many starters on the whole team you're talking about? They lost.
On the I'm more focused on the defensive side.
The defense. It's gonna be around 5 right now. They lost Linval Joseph, interior defensive lineman. They lost Everson Griffin, the defensive end. They lost both starting corner, Rhodes and Waynes. They lost slot corner, Mackenzie Alexander, who really doesn't start, but I'd call him a starter still because he was their best slot corner. They do play a lot with the slot corner too. And then if they do trade Anthony Harris, that'll be 6 defensive starters lost.
So how many did they replace in free agency?
They replaced Linval Joseph, and that was it.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. That's scary for them in this situation, but they're freeing up the cap space. They have a lot of picks where they can grow within. So that in my mind, short term, not so good. Long term, they're in good spot for long term.
I got breaking news.
What's your breaking news?
No, stop it.
Patriots are signing quarterback
Oh,
Brian Hoyer.
Let's go.
Did they really?
They just signed him. They're bringing him back.
Why the fuck would it be like Brian Hoyer?
They expected him to bring him back. It was expected. Does anybody have any more winners, losers? I kind of want to just rattle mine off at once.
I'm sure there's more, but go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
We're gonna start with the winners, ladies and gentlemen. You guys talked on some of them already. The first one I have listed is a big winner because I think they got a lot better. A lot better. There is a negative thing I'm still gonna say about them though, even though I think they're a big winner.
It's the Chicago Bears, isn't it?
It's the Buffalo Bills.
Ooh.
They got better. I mean, they added Stefon Diggs, very good young receiver. I think he'll be better in this offense. I mean, you could definitely argue that Kirk Cousins is maybe better right now and more accurate than Josh Allen. Josh Allen's got ton of upside. I really like the way he played last year. He's better than I thought he would be at this point in his career, but mainly his mentality, his style of play, I think will fit Stefon Diggs quite a bit. I mean, he's going to want to throw the ball downfield. They want to open things up downfield. They're going to throw the ball more than the Vikings. You know, the Vikings ran the ball way too much, even though they had a good running back. So I think he'll fit there better. I think that was big time for them. But again, talked about it before. I want more than just a trade. I want to see some free agency signings for me to call him a winner. I think Quentin Jefferson is one of my favorite signings of this offseason. Is a sneaky good player from the Seahawks. This guy played everywhere across the D-line. We've seen him at nose. We've seen him at three technique. We've seen him even play defensive end because the Seahawks were short on defensive ends. So and he got a lot of pressure. So this was a big-time signing for them. They got him somewhat cheap. Norman's nothing's special, obviously declining, but adding him helps. Quentin Spain's deal was very team-friendly. And then, Vernon Butler is... I'm not crazy about the signing, but it definitely makes them better in the interior. They lost Jordan Phillips. They had Quentin Jefferson, Vernon Butler. That's big time. And I did say there is something slightly negative I have to say about them, even though I consider them a big winner. Something I expected them to do was to be a big winner in free agency because they have a bunch of money. And something I kind of wanted them really to do was get a pass rusher because they're a big-time pass rusher away from being an elite defense. And they didn't do that yet. Signing Mario Addison, I guess, helps, but I wish they would have went a little bigger there. Maybe they're going to go to the draft. They don't have a first-round pick, so I wish they can get, for sure better at the edge position. So that's something a little negative I have to say about them, but I still consider
You're going to say something negative about them after they included you in that Twitter video?
Yeah, they did
included a Goat House tweet in the Twitter video?
Yeah, but I'm still considering them a huge winner. Still a big winner. I just want them, free agency's not done yet, want them to get that edge rusher. Another big winner. So how many do I got here? I got 5 big winners. So the Bills were one of them. We talked about the Cardinals. The Cardinals were on there for you guys.
I got a new winner, actually. You've been making me think.
All right, go ahead. What is it?
They're not like an outstanding winner by any means, but I'm going to put the Dolphins in there.
You son of a bitch. That's what I was going with next.
Oh, I think their defense got better, and I think if they draft Tua, they're gonna kind of be a team of the future here. Go ahead. I'll let you do it. I just wanted to touch on it.
The Cardinals we touched on why they're a winner, and then I was going to say the Dolphins, but I do have a negative thing about the Dolphins as well, though. They've had so many signings, and they got a lot better. That's why they're a winner. I love the Kyle Van Noy signing. I actually like the Byron Jones one. I'm okay overspending on a cornerback if he's absolutely proven, and you have a situation where you can get a really good duo in place, and the Dolphins did. I just hate drafting corners early because it just feels like they take so long to become impactful. So I'd rather spend the big money. So I like that. But the negative thing, I do hate the Eric Flowers deal. Eric Flowers deal was one of my least favorite, maybe one of the worst signings of free agency so far. I think, the guy is just, he was known as a bust. He's failed multiple times, and he had like a couple decent games last year, and all of a sudden everyone's freaking out that Flowers is good now, and I think they overspent on him, so wasn't a fan of that one. But looking at the ones I named, Shaq Lawson's an interesting one. I'm curious to see how they use him, because I graded him as a 3-4 end as he came out of college, and he hasn't played that yet, and I think he could play that. And even Jordan Howard, 2-year, $10 million, I think he'll be sharing carries with whoever they draft, so I like that one as well. Overall, they got better. They're not my biggest winner, but they're up here for big winners because they got better. So, and then I got 2 more big winners. Pigskin kind of touched on the Chargers, and that was one of my big winners. We pretty much touched on that enough. I think the defense is loaded now. Chris Harris is one of my favorite signings. Adding him into the secondary, and adding Linval Joseph, I think is a perfect nose tackle next to Jerry Tillery, who plays D tackle for them, and then outside them is Bosa and Ingram. So that looks great. Adding Brian Bulaga, they needed tackles. They got a right tackle, Brian Bulaga, plug and play guy. 3-year, $30 million is a good deal. Like the Eckler deal. They traded for Trey Turner. The Chargers, everything looks great for them. It looks like they got better, except they still need a quarterback. That's kind of all these big winners kind of have the negative still, and that's kind of the negative there. They still need that big time quarterback. Could go to the draft. And then my last winner was the Bucs for obvious reasons. They get Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback of all time. How much of an impact does he make right now? I still think a significant amount. And they got both their pass rushers back, which some people thought wasn't going to be possible. And Jason Pierre-Paul's deal was 2 year, $27 million. I think they got him for pretty cheap. I thought he would get a lot more than that. So the Buccaneers keep the big time pass rushers, add Tom Brady on top of that, and they get a sneaky good signing in Joe Haig, offensive lineman from the Colts. So I did like the Buccaneers there as a winner as well. Now I can go into my losers unless anyone wants to step in. Anything else anybody's got?
Oh,
You're doing great.
I already said my
great.
3 winners and 3 losers.
Yeah, now it's just basically me talking by myself, I feel like. But we're going to rattle
No,
off.
take it away. Take it away.
We're going to rattle off the losers. The Texans we talked about, so that was one of them. The Giants are another one. And the Giants were kind of making it known they were going to be big spenders. They're going to get these big free agents. And I don't really punish them for saying that and not really doing it. I mean, they did somewhat, but that's not why I'm punishing them. They were supposed to be in on, I guess, Clowney, who they can still be in on. But Corey Littleton was the guy they were supposed to be like. This is what confuses me. They were supposed to They made the call. They made an offer. They were going for him. That's proven. And they signed Blake Martinez, who I don't hate. He's a decent linebacker. They signed him to a $10 million per year deal, 3 years, I believe. And meanwhile, Corey Littleton just gets a couple million more than that. While the Giants have the money to sign him, they wanted him, but they just decided to save a couple million per year to go for a linebacker that's way under Corey Littleton, in my opinion. That was confusing. Signing James Bradbury was confusing to all that money. He was pretty damn good, honestly, early last year. Then kind of went back to where he was kind of an average corner. As soon as Ron Rivera left, it kind of, his play seemed to go, declined a bit. I think the whole defense did, but he hasn't proven enough to me, Bradbury. And they signed him to a 3 year, $45 million, unproven corner. And on top of that, they already have young guys. Like, it feels like they're already giving up on their young guys. They've just drafted. They used a supplement draft pick on Beal. They drafted. They traded up to get DeAndre Baker last year. It's almost like they're giving up on these guys to go get another unproven guy for a lot of money. He's more proven than them. So I thought that was confusing. I mean, there's some signings in here that I kind of like. The Kyler Fackrell one, he's not going to make a huge impact, but that's low risk, high reward. So I do like that. And the Leonard Williams, kind of going back to trading for Leonard Williams, it kind of blew up in their face. It blew up in their face again. That just was a fail, in my opinion. They had to franchise tag him and overpay him. Even with the franchise tag, and whenever they reach a contract deal, it's probably going to be overpaid. So I don't like what the Giants are doing. Expected more on top of confusing signings. So we got the Texans, the Giants. The Rams was another one. I touched on that already. Low on cap. I don't want to punish them for that, but at the same time, kind of making moves like cutting Gurley so they can actually make moves, but they're making confusing deals, signing Whitworth, who's going to retire anytime, almost retired this year for 3 years. Leonard Floyd, they overpaid. Robinson, they overpaid. Still not fixing the offensive line, so I think that was the reason to cut Gurley, but they're just not doing anything. I have the Vikings as a loser. They were limited on cap, but it's kind of they're more of a confusing team because you extend Kirk Cousins, it clears space this year, but at the same time of that, extending Kirk Cousins tells me, you believe in him. You don't want to kind of get a new quarterback in there next year and kind of, work with him and start over. So it tells me you're winning now, which is expected. But then they're letting all these guys go, and I think some of them aren't surprising. Like letting Rhodes go, I figured Trey Waynes was going to walk. They weren't going to be able to afford him. And then cutting Linval Joseph, I thought was a possibility. But Mackenzie Alexander confuses me. I thought they would like him back. He got a cheap deal. And then they really want to trade Anthony Harris. So it's kind of just what's their plan? And it would be okay, but they're clearing all this space, and they're not doing it. They got Michael Pierce, but I expect a little more for I can't tell what their plan is. It's going to hurt losing some of these guys, not all of them, but and they traded Diggs on top of it. What are they going to do with that? It's not looking that great right now. And then an NFC fellow NFC, I can't talk. Feller NFC North.
Feller.
We're going to call him a feller. A feller NFC North rival. The Packers, I think, are a big loser because I think because both the Vikings and the Packers going down. I think the Lions got better. You guys kind of ripped the Lions. I think they got better, not a whole bunch. I think the Bears got
I think
better as
their
well.
transactions, yes, they got better, but as far as the locker room, that Patricia's getting bashed in the media like bad right now. How would you like to be a player of that and then finding all this out, or a
I
free agent
understand.
coming there and you're just like you have all these expectations of what this coach is?
But
That's
yeah,
not-
the Packers big loser for me. Why? Because they were somewhat limited on cap, so we didn't expect a whole bunch. We definitely expected more than this. But the main reason is it starts with Balaga, a very important piece at right tackle. A big reason why Rodgers is able to roll right and throw out there, and sometimes he sits out there for quite some time. It's a very important piece. He does it more than anybody. And it's one thing if you lose him, you don't want to pay him too much money. That's okay. I wouldn't consider him a loser. This guy got $10 million per year. The Packers were definitely could have done this and were willing to do this. But I'm trying to figure out a way to explain this. I think, if they wanted a redo, I think they would take Balaga back. And why I say that is because $10 million a year was definitely doable. The reason I think they kind of let him go is so they can spend big elsewhere. They were supposed to be in on Corey Littleton. They wanted to get him. Instead, they go Christian Kirksey, a guy that is solid, but he's been hurt the last several years. They spent $8 million per year on him. It's not the worst deal. I don't mind that deal, but you let Balaga go to save that $10 million per year so you can go big elsewhere. And they haven't done that. They got a replacement for Balaga, Rick Wagner. It's a huge drop off there. I just expected more for kind of letting Balaga walk. I would think they would actually if they were able to do a redo, I think they would take Balaga back for that $10 million per year, and he would have went back for that. I think the only reason they let him go is to just go big elsewhere. I keep saying it, but so that's the whole thing's confusing me with the Packers. And then I think the who's my last loser?
I got a Vikings question for you before you.
What's the go ahead.
Oh, we're in the NFC North.
I got a couple borderline teams. That's why I'm getting okay. Go ahead.
Okay. What if they're clearing up all this money to extend Dalvin Cook? What are your thoughts on that?
I would disagree with extending a running back right now, especially one that's he's great. He's got elite traits, but one that to me hasn't proven he can stay healthy. I guess I'm not ready to call him injury prone because I think they've kind of played it safe sometimes. But I think that would be a bad move. I don't really like extending running.
You don't
backs
want another Melvin Gordon situation. Definitely not one of those.
Yeah,
Pay the man and.
I don't agree with extending running backs to big money earlier, than when they're free agents as it is, and on top of him having the injuries, I would disagree strongly with that unless it's some kind of crazy team-friendly deal.
What's your CJ Ham situation?
Oh, I like CJ Ham. I mean, I like that.
Bring him back?
I didn't touch on that. I mean, I like the guys they brought back. Like Dan Bailey, even the kicker. Like they had to. If they would have lost Dan Bailey, it would have been a whole shit show again, searching for another kicker. Which Dan Bailey's nothing special. Like nothing.
We know how that
crazy.
goes as Bears fans.
Yeah, well, we know. I know how it goes as Vikings fans. We traded a fifth rounder for a kicker we had for a week last year. So
I forgot about that.
You stole him from the Bears, so thank you for that.
And then the Ravens used that fifth round pick to trade for Calais Campbell, so that makes it even look even better. Okay, another loser that I'm adding to the I'm calling them a loser. Is the Dallas Cowboys here?
Yep.
Looking at what they had a ton of cap space, and we knew they were probably going to have to spend their money on their own guys, and that and not having any additions, I was okay with that. They're not a loser because of that, but they get Cooper back. Cooper's a great receiver. I'm okay with that one. I'm okay with it. It's a lot of money. I'm okay. But they're losing out on guys left and right. Robert Quinn goes elsewhere. He goes to the Bears. We knew Byron Jones probably goes somewhere else. But it's just kind of just being mediocre after that. You lost those guys, so you still have a bunch of cap space. You didn't have to spend your own cap space on your own guys, and you're signing mediocre players. I mean, you bring back Anthony Brown, which it felt like they didn't like anymore. He's a slot corner. They got a million slot corners. Clinton Dix, I'm not a fan of. It's just
I was actually quite concerned about that. I was reading some articles that gave it an A signing. I was like,
there's a lot of people.
For a 1 year prove it deal, but Bears did that last year. Maybe are they going to put him at the strong safety position, or are they going to put him in the box like the Bears did?
It's a good question. I mean, right now he's probably their best safety. That's the good thing, but that's kind of a bad thing at the same time. I think because of his name and I think he was pretty good year 1 and year 2 coming in the league. He's like a big name still, and people just hear that name and he's going to this team and they get hyped. It's so wrong. He was on
Bama hype.
He was good the first year or two on the Packers. And then the Packers traded him to the Redskins for a reason. The Redskins didn't keep him for a reason, and then he was on the Bears. Now he's on the Cowboys, and that's all within since 2018. Like, that tells you pretty much everything. And yeah, I don't think he worked out with the Bears. It felt like Eddie Jackson had a harder role because of just the lack of safety help next to him. I'm not going to say that's a terrible signing, because 1 year, $4 million deal, that doesn't make it terrible, but there's people getting overhyped about that. Blake Jarwin, they're paying over $8 million a year. You have this extra money laying around, and there's multiple tight ends you could have went and got. That was a bad signing in my opinion. And your Gerald McCoy's okay, but you're signing Gerald McCoy, who I think is borderline. You're going to retire to a 3-year deal. You're just being mediocre when they had a lot of cap space, and it would be okay if they use it on their own guys, but they're their own good guys, but they really didn't, besides Amari Cooper. So confused about what the Cowboys are doing. And then, so those are my big losers. And then I got 2 teams that I almost want to call losers a little bit. They're close. They're close, but we're going to start with, I got 2 of them. We're going to go with the Seattle Seahawks because they had quite a bit of cap space too, and I was kind of before free agency, I was kind of predicting maybe the Seahawks were going to be the favorites to win the Super Bowl or go to the Super Bowl from the NFC, because it's already a good team. They got Russell Wilson, one of the best, but they do have some holes, but they do have a lot of cap space to get better. And I was kind of predicting, way too early, and they haven't really done that yet. They've touched up the offensive line a little bit like they needed to do, but it's kind of average to below average guys. I don't really have a problem with that, but I'm just saying, nothing spectacular there. Maybe they can get Clowney back. By the time we're recording this, Clowney's still out there. They signed Greg Olsen to a $7 million. That was earlier, but $7 million for 1 year for an injury-prone tight end. I wish they would do a little more. They lost Quentin Jefferson. They did get Jaron Reed back. I like the Jaron Reed deal. But they need more across the D-line. They need more across the offensive line. And I just wish there was more, but there can be more. So I guess I'm not really ready to call them a full loser. And then this team I definitely don't want to call them a loser, because they probably got better. It's just, I find it an intriguing team, I guess, to talk about here, and it's the Indianapolis Colts, because last year going into free agency, they had all this cap space, tons of cap space, and they didn't really spend any of it. And fans, or just fans of the NFL, whether it's the NFL or the Colts, they were freaking out, and that they didn't go spend the money. You got to use the money, but I kind of applauded them for not spending the money last year, because free agency class for where they had needs was kind of average at best. Like, I didn't want them to overspend, so I thought that was good. Wait till the 2020 free agency, which here we are, and spend big there. There's a lot of where they have their needs. There's a lot of top-tier free agents there, and they traded for DeForest Buckner, so that's where they got better. I mean, they did trade the 13th overall pick, but they got better there, and they signed him to a big deal, so that takes up some cap. And then Phillip Rivers, 1 year, $25 million. I like the fit of Rivers, and they'll probably be better because of adding him, but that also kind of hurt filling the other needs. And at the same time, when you sign a quarterback like that for 1 year, you're basically saying, all right, let's go get Rivers, but this isn't our quarterback. This is our quarterback for this year, but this isn't our quarterback. You're going to spend $25 million, and take that much of a cap hit on a guy that really isn't your quarterback going forward. Again, like the fit, they got better with it, but I'm kind of, you can see I'm kind of on both sides about that one. So it's 2 years in a row having a lot of cap, and they're really not filling a lot of needs. But again, I don't want to call them a loser, because I like Buckner. Rivers is a fit. They may have got better because of those things, but
they did lose Brian Hoyer, though.
They did lose Brian Hoyer.
Right.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about like kind of the single best signings and worst signings or confusing signings that stood out, but I kind of think we covered those. Anybody have any other?
Well,
I
there's
got
one
some
confusing
favorites.
signing that. Are we talking favorites or confusing or both?
Confusing.
I got a confusing one.
Confusing, I already kind of touched on Vitae, Leonard Floyd, but I had Jimmy Graham in there as well.
Come on, Pete, you
I was
couldn't let us
just-
do that?
Yeah, let us take care of that. Let us take
All
care
right,
of it.
you guys can take care of it then.
We'll do some
It's
cleanup
super
on it.
confusing because they paid him a lot of money. I mean, I shouldn't say a lot of money. They paid him a decent amount of money for a tight end position when we thought they were gonna. They had a great position to draft one. They're in great position to draft one still, but they signed some guy I don't even know his name. They got Jimmy Graham. They got this basketball player who's not going to be converting to tight end. So their tight end rooms right now has 8 or 9 people in that room, which that's confusing to me. So if you're gonna improve the position, you draft one, not sign a washed tight end.
I think the thing that upsets me most about the Jimmy Graham signing is that Eric Ebron, who I would have taken over Jimmy Graham, signed for less, and that kind of frustrated me.
Yeah.
Like I understand that the tight end was a need, and whether you want to do that through the draft or if you want to do that through free agency, you don't sign, like you said, a washed veteran. But I think that they just got kind of caught up in the red zone numbers, and they're just like, oh, Jimmy Graham was a red zone threat at once in his life, so like let's bring him in. I think he's one of those names like Clinton Dix that name
attracts
just
the
people
name,
still
yeah.
think people still think he's relevant because of his name. I don't know.
One thing I do like,
I did not like it.
I shouldn't say like, I shouldn't say like, but one thing I'm okay with. If you look at the numbers of what Jimmy Graham did last year with the Packers versus what the entire Bears tight end room did last year, it's virtually the same. I'd rather pay one person to have that same production rather than an entire group of people having that production. So that's the only
Yeah.
glass half full thing I could come out of that deal.
That is true.
Yeah. I had three favorite signings, like just single guys I didn't really get to talk about, but Danny Trevathan was in there. I
Oh,
thought
Thanks,
like
Pete.
yeah, I thought the middle linebacker group, like there were a lot of guys were getting paid a lot of money. Like we talked, Riz already talked about Blake Martinez. Like, how did Trevathan get less than Blake Martinez? I'm not really. I know he's younger, but like I'm just not really a big fan of Blake Martinez's game, and he gets paid 3 years, 30 million. Trevathan gets 3 years, 24 million. Like I thought that was a great deal for
Trevathan
them.
wants to finish his career in Chicago, and I'm sure he might have gotten better offers somewhere. I mean, he signed
Maybe.
somewhere. He was one of the first people to sign, but he could have
Teddy
gotten more money if
Bridgewater.
he searched for it.
Teddy Bridgewater was one of my favorite signings as well. I think he fits well with the Panthers. Like he's in a good system there, and they got him cheap too. Like 3 years, 63 million is not really that bad, especially like for the quarterback market out there right now. So I think that's a great fit for them. And then Emmanuel Sanders is one of my favorite ones too. Like he got a pretty cheap deal. Like the Texans paid Randall Cobb 3 years. What was it, 27 mil, and Emmanuel Sanders got 2 years, 16 mil. He's getting a cheaper deal for a better player, and he's gonna fit in really well with the Saints. Like they just needed another top-notch receiver there with Michael Thomas, and they got it with Emmanuel Sanders. And I'm sure they'll draft one too because the class is stacked too. But I like those. Those are like my 3 favorite signings that I had down just
Yes.
money wise and fit wise.
Speaking on Emmanuel Sanders, I found it interesting how I agree, like picking the Saints to pair up with Michael Thomas, but said that there was interest through the Packers. So like him and Devontae too would have been a nice little duo. I do think that he ended up ultimately choosing the better fit, but that could have been something.
Yeah, I'll just rattle off my best signings. Raiders signing Corey Littleton, 3 year, 36 million. I thought that was like the big time inside linebacker, and they got him a little cheaper than I thought he'd be, and there was a lot of teams after him. The Bucs signing Brady, of course, and then the Bucs. I talked about Jason Pierre-Paul. I thought Jason Pierre-Paul got a really cheap deal, like compared to what I thought he was going to get. The Chargers signing Chris Harris Jr. It's 2 year, 17 million, can get up to 20 million. I mean, that's. I think he took a discount to play with a really good defense, and that was kind of that last piece to make it a really good defense. Dolphins signing Kyle Van Noy it's a great one, 4 year, 51 million. If he's kind of one of those utility linebackers that could be an edge rusher, off the ball linebacker. And I think it's a cheap deal. Maybe it's some people won't say it's a cheap deal because he's only been good with the Patriots. He didn't work out really with the Lions. We don't really get to see it. We didn't get to see him, but he fits Flores' defense. I think he's a heck of a ball player, so I like that. And the Bills, I talked about getting Quentin Jefferson, one of my favorite ones. Sneaky good signing, 2 year, $13.5 million, ridiculous. Ridiculously cheap. They signed Butler too, Vernon Butler, and I just don't know how Jefferson didn't get more than him. And the Panthers, Pete talked about Panthers getting Teddy, 3 years, $63 million. I think he's a perfect fit with the Panthers. On top of it being, I think, a little cheaper than what he would have gotten. I think that's like the perfect quarterback for right now and the future for the Panthers. So those are my best signings. There's a lot of really good ones, but those are the ones that really, really stand out, like A++ deals right there.
The Teddy one stands out to me, but like as a team, as the Panthers as a team, I feel like they kind of shot themselves in the foot. Just because I understand you got to act quick, and if you see a quarterback you want, you go get him. But they just kind of like left their hands tied with Cam Newton. They don't know what to do with him. They tried to shop him. They're not going to get anything for him because everyone knows now Teddy's their guy. They're going to have to cut him. Why trade for a big contract if he's going to get cut?
Yeah,
Same thing with a Dalton. I think there's teams waiting on Dalton to get cut. There's just going to be a market for these quarterbacks that are going to get cut, and I think maybe that's what like teams like the Patriots are waiting for. There's teams like that.
What do you mean they
Maybe
got
the
Brian
Redskins.
Hoyer?
I mean, they got Brian Hoyer, but he's clearly not starting, Dan.
What the fuck would he be like Brian Hoyer?
Yeah, I think the Panthers did mess up with not trading Cam Newton earlier is what my problem is, because we kind of heard that they could trade him, and we only heard that because everyone took an educated, a good guess. Like, is Cam gonna fit this new Panthers offense? So they're probably gonna trade him, and that's where all that came from. And then people started to ask the Panthers, and the Panthers were like saying Cam's still our guy right now. And they made it pretty well known, and we're gonna work him out, see if he's healthy. And then some time passed, and they were just saying that Cam's gonna be their guy. Then free agency hits, and they're like, oh shit, we're gonna get Teddy Bridgewater. Let's hurry up and trade Cam Newton. Well, it's too late. Love the Teddy deal, love the fit, but you blew it with the Cam Newton situation. I think they could have. They really blew it. The more I'm talking about it, because what do you think that if they would have traded Cam Newton a month ago or more, I think they would have got a second round pick at least. I don't know. I don't think they would have got a first, but I'm saying a second round, maybe, and like a mid to late round. Now they're probably going to get nothing. If they do get something, it's something real low in the draft there. So I think they really blew it with that. That's one of the worst decisions, and we'll see what happens. But that could be one of the worst decisions of the offseason, really. At the same time,
it's tough to say goodbye. It's tough. Trust me.
Anybody else have any favorite signings that stood out, or did we?
The Robert Quinn one, for obvious reasons.
Yep.
Bears needed a huge pass rush, and I thought that was huge. I think you said before that he's played better in a 4-3 scheme rather than a 3-4 scheme.
Yeah, that's the only word I have.
But has he ever had somebody on the other side of him like Khalil Mack? Where
that would be my case for saying why I like the deal.
I think it goes both ways, though.
And that, yeah,
Khalil Mack has never had somebody of his caliber, and Robert Quinn has never had anybody of Khalil Mack's caliber.
True.
Right, so that defensive line, Bears defense got, even though they're missing a safety still, they got, and a corner for that matter, they got better. And the good thing about having an elite defensive line like that is no matter who you put in that, I shouldn't say no matter who, but you get a quality starter on that corner spot, they're going to be able to jump some routes, no problem, because the quarterbacks are going to be, it's going to be the disruptive. We'll just leave it at that. It's going to be disruptive. I'm excited.
I mean, we've seen year after year that pass rush could take so much stress off of secondary and could actually create turnovers. And when the Bears 2 years ago had that year where they were just in all those turnovers, it was because the pass rush, they were in the quarterback's face every single time. And I think teams are seeing that, and that's why the Bears were kind of adamant that they wanted Quinn.
You can't replicate turnovers, but getting to the quarterback
can
is
replicate pass rush,
which is what they struggled with last year, surprisingly. So that's why I'm super excited about that. And even the Nick Foles trade, at first I was kind of bittersweet. I knew he was going to be better than Trubisky, but now that I think about it, I think the Bears are going to be safer with the football. They're actually going to be able to throw down fields, and the Bears in my opinion, Bears could sneak into first place in NFC North. I think they could do it.
Specifically where they got better, I think, in terms of the actual offense. I think I think the RPO game is going to be pretty strong. I think Nick Foles has succeeded in that. He actually won a Super Bowl with that, and you could see Nagy wanted to run RPO, and they had to stop at some point last year because Trubisky just wasn't reading ends and outside linebackers on some of the plays there. So I think they improved greatly in a specific style of play, but within the playbook, and then that helps the play calling as well. So I think I definitely think they got better because of that for sure.
We got a big thing we need to touch on.
What's that?
Big thing we need to touch on is, as we all know, Dan has been a firm Trubisky believer.
Era is over.
Whoa.
It's
I
over.
just want to hear Dan announce it on the podcast here that Mitch Trubisky is not his guy, and I'll feel happy. You have to acknowledge
Mitch Trubisky is my guy as a backup quarterback for the Chicago Bears.
Okay,
there's still people
out
there saying that Foles is just there to test Trubisky, and Trubisky's gonna compete and then start? Like, I'm not believing that. Is there anybody that's slightly believing that?
I think it really depended who they got. If it was Teddy Bridgewater, yes, there would be a competition, right? I think it would have
I
been
don't
a
think so.
competition.
I don't think
if
so.
it was,
Yeah, Teddy's
No
been.
way.
He could. It's actually. A good
I think it
debate,
would have
but-
been. Teddy
I
hasn't
think
proven
no
anything.
matter who the Bears brought in, like even now, when training camp starts, whenever that may be, you're going to see Pace come out and Nagy come out saying it's an open competition, but in their brains, it's Foles. No matter who that
100%.
guy was, they would be like,
Yeah.
oh, it's a competition, it's a competition. Because for some reason, they just continually want to protect Mitch Trubisky from the media, and I don't understand why. If he's not your guy, it doesn't matter anymore. Like, there has to be a point. Show confidence in Foles. Be like, Foles is our guy. You have him locked up for the next 2 to 3 years. Obviously, there's player options, team options in that, but I don't know. I think that Foles is the guy. You can't teach somebody who cannot read defenses to read defenses. You can teach somebody who's okay at something to get better, but when somebody cannot do something at all,
Patrick Mahomes
you
couldn't read
can't teach
defenses
it.
till last year.
No,
For
it's
Patrick
that's
Mahomes.
Yeah,
that's
I was
false.
surprised. I was
That
like,
was
surprised
false.
that he said that because like I remember just like watching film or even watching live and it like.
He
like,
probably meant
week-
pre-read, like pre-reading defenses is my guess, because obviously he was putting the ball where it needed to go.
No,
He was
but
doing that.
I felt like I saw him pre-reading and pre-adjusting. Like,
I think
unless-
he's just
unless it was
trying to
a
just be an idiot.
coincidence.
he's just trying to like get a
He's trying to
headline.
make Mitch feel better about himself.
Yeah.
Same draft, you know.
Like literally, there are so many things that like you can't teach. You have it or you don't, and Mitch Trubisky just does not have the ability to read a
You guys want to hear a
defense.
bold prediction?
He's
What's the
very
bo-
football young.
What's the bold prediction?
Deshaun Watson's going to take a huge step backwards this year.
Ooh.
Probably
Huge
not
step
really,
backwards.
not really bold.
It
Okay,
is
I have
kind
a
of bold, though. A lot
I-
of people
I have a
I've been
bold one.
saying
pretty damn
I've been
good.
saying for years that DeAndre Hopkins has been bailing Watson out so many times. Watson's a good quarterback for sure, but like DeAndre Hopkins like is just insane. Like his catch radius and like just the balls
Oh,
he
yeah.
catches that are uncatchable. Like they're not even good throws by Watson. He just makes the catches. So it's definitely gonna be tough to watch the Texans. I feel like they take.
They really got to hope that Will Fuller's finally going to be healthy for more
Yeah.
than like 6 games.
Come on now. We know that's not going to happen. The guy's
It's
made
not.
of
I
glass.
actually got to back up a little bit, kind of out of nowhere, but I have another winner for team
Oh,
winner. for
oh,
free
whoa.
agency. It's kind
Taking
of
it
like
way back.
It's not a big winner, but it's just something that just popped in my mind right now. Like you look at these teams that we expect to do nothing, like absolutely nothing because of the cap space. Look at the team like the Falcons. Like they were done with cap, like they had nothing in cap space, and they go out and get Dante Fowler and Todd Gurley. And meanwhile, these other teams that their excuse is we don't have cap space, they can't really do anything. So you gotta give a little clap to the Falcons there for that. You know, not a huge winner, but yeah, there you go. Able to make some.
Oh, Junior's clapping there?
I
impact.
clap for you
For the
guys.
Falcons.
I clap for the Falcons, guys. I gave him a little
Wow.
clap.
Big Falcons guy, huh?
But yeah, we talked about our best signings. We talked about the worst. Some of us talked about the worst signings. I had 3 worst signings. They were Eric Flowers to the Dolphins, even though I think the Dolphins got a lot better. Flowers has proven to me that he can't play. You know, he can be decent at times. And I think somebody else mentioned Jimmy Graham for the Bears, even though I think the Bears got better. Jimmy Graham one's just confusing, mainly because they're paying $8 million a year. I think just over $8 million a year to Trey Burton, who can't seem to stay on the field. I mean, we know he's athletic, he can play. And then they go spend basically the same amount of money per year for Jimmy Graham, who's aging, declining, couldn't make anything happen with Aaron Rodgers as quarterback.
I saw.
And
real
Trey
quick, I saw-
Burton's. Go ahead.
I saw like someone tweeted out like which teams are spending the most for position group, and I saw the Eagles and Bears are tied for the most for tight end position group. You
Yeah.
think about the Eagles, they got Zach Ertz and Goddard. The Bears got Trey Burton and Jimmy Graham.
Hey, but a little
That's
side
pretty
note.
bad.
Side note.
What is it?
Is it possible that Nick Foles unlocks Trey Burton? Is that possible? They had the
Billy
chemistry
Special.
in Philly.
Well, we don't even
They had
know
the
what his
chemistry in
ceiling
Philly.
is because
Billy
Yeah,
Special.
I don't think there's any
think-
unlocking Trey Burton. I think he's he's nothing great, but I think
He
he's
is what
pretty.
he is.
He's solid. Maybe he's just got to
I
be on
just
the
think
field.
he never cleared the mental hurdles of that groin injury from a year and a half ago. He
Oh, so
never
you're saying
cleared
does
that.
Foles kind of get him
Yeah,
back
does
on the
Foles
field?
kind of get him
Foles
back
is going to
to
come in there. He's going to massage
the
up.
year the Bears made that
hamstring.
playoff run?
Massage the groin area.
He's going to
He's gonna give him a nice
massage the
groin massage.
All
Yeah.
right.
And that's going to unleash him mentally and physically. And the Bears.
He
are gonna
just
win
he
the
just
Super Bowl.
needs to release. So if he gets a nice groin massage,
Then he'll get out. I can't even say it. All right, I was gonna say he's gonna have a nice release. Then that's good. That works
right?
for
Sometimes
everybody.
you just need some relief. Yeah.
I got a serious question.
What is it?
This is a little off topic, but I don't care. Does Tom Brady make the Bucs a Super Bowl contender?
Ooh.
Mm.
I made a video on this. I think, and I'm gonna hear your guys' opinion, but I think
Don't say. Let me take over.
take over.
Yes.
Yes. Is your answer?
Okay.
Yes. I can
Are
give
you
you
expanding?
reasons.
Okay.
I can.
Go ahead.
I think we saw late in that year their defense stepping up, big time. So I mean, I don't want to call them an elite defense, but they're showing signs of very quality defense that'll keep them in games. But with that wide receiver core and a smart decision maker and Tom Brady, they can be a contender. I definitely want to see what they're going to do with the running game, but they can be a contender for sure. That's my reasoning.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna go into it.
All right, go
Can
ahead.
I
Go
into
ahead.
it? I'm gonna say that the Bucks, like, I wouldn't put them at Super Bowl contender, but I'm going to put them at poised to make a deep run. I can say that without question. It's just the thing that's interesting to me is you have an offense with Jameis that was throwing the ball down the field. Tom Brady cannot do that. He's not the guy to throw the ball down the field like that.
Oh, he
So
can.
their
I'm
system,
gonna disagree with that. I'm
not in
gonna
the same way.
disagree.
He does not have the arm strength than Jameis. No way.
Maybe not. I mean,
Just-
he had more arm strength than Jameis at one point, but I don't know if he
At one point, but we're
I don't
talking
think
about
it's far
now.
off. I don't think it's far off.
I just
I
think that their offense is going to kind of have. You're going to see it. The style is going to have to change a little bit. They're going to have to make tweaks to it. I just don't think they could run the same offense that you did with Jameis that you do with Tom. I'm not saying they're not going to be good. Like I said, they're poised to make a deep run, but I don't know. I need to see them, like, see how it mixes before I can say they're a Super Bowl contender.
This is probably one of the best wide
I
receiver
like-
groups that Brady's had, though.
Yeah,
No,
I
it
like,
for sure is up there.
I like the Bucks' chances here to go for like a Super Bowl run. I was watching the Game Pass is free right now. I watched the Titans. I
Ooh,
watched
is
the
it a
Titans
plug?
Bucks. Yeah, I watched the Titans Bucks game, and like the Titans won that one. And they actually like when I was watching, I was like, they probably should have lost this game. Like Jameis lost them the game, like just turning the ball over. But their defense is
Would
very
you have
impressive.
watched that game? Would you have watched that game knowing the Titans would have lost that game?
No, I didn't watch any
Okay,
of
I
their
just wanted
losses.
that's just for
No.
clarification. Thank you.
No. But yeah, their defense was very impressive. Like Levante David's everywhere. Like you think like he's gonna start slowing down, but the guy's just unreal. Their secondary was playing good. Carlton Davis looked really good that game when I was watching him. And then obviously like their pass rushers are good, but like yeah, I think Jameis like single-handedly kind of blew that game. And plus they really didn't have a run game, and they still need to kind of address that still. But I think obviously with Tom Brady, like he takes care of the ball. He's probably the smartest football player of all time. I think that it's going to be a game changer for them. I think they'll take a big step, especially with like the strength of schedule they're going to have too. They'll have like an easier strength of schedule. You know that division looks pretty solid right now.
It's strength.
Let me yeah, the strength. Let me dive into this. Let me dive into this. There's a lot of salt out there in the world after the Salt. A lot of people are salty about Tom Brady going to the Bucs. Like people right away just instantly want to rip him. Like he's old, he's aging, he's declining. The Bucs aren't good anyways, and I think all of that is wrong. All of it's wrong. Well, except Brady is kind of old, but he's still really good. You look at and the first question is, does Tom Brady make them a contender? I think he does, yes, but I don't think it's just because of Tom Brady. So I think that's where kind of people get mad at other people because you're just saying one player makes them well. First of all, he's a quarterback, but I think more things do. But kind of going back, look at the Patriots team last year. Really, the Patriots team, the secondary was loaded. The secondary was really good. This team really wasn't. There was no Gronk. There was the receivers were lacking. They were dropping the ball. They were running wrong routes. It was probably the worst offense line Brady's had it wasn't terrible, but it's probably the worst offense line he's had in like kind of the GOAT era of Tom Brady. And then the defense, there really wasn't much pass rush besides off-the-ball linebackers that were kind of had turned into pass rushers. Defense played pretty well most of the year, but I think this Bucs team is better than the Patriots team. Take away Brady from both. So you adding Brady to that, the receiver duo. I think Godwin's going to be great with. I think it's like he's getting better as it is. I think he's a perfect Tom Brady receiver. I think they're going to fix the running back issue still. I think it's still to come. I think it'll be fixed. I trust that it'll be fixed. Look at last year. everybody knew that the Bucs were passing every single play because they had no run game. So I think it just makes them better by default there. But then the defense, you guys kind of touched on it. I think that 3-4 linebacker unit I think is the best in football. I think the Bears are pretty close, but you look at Jason Pierre-Paul with Shaq Barrett the season he had last year. I don't think there's any decline or anything. I think it keeps going. But the inside linebackers of Devin White and Levante David, I mean, that group is ridiculous. And then people automatically want to just rip their secondary because in the past they've given up a good amount of yards to the air. But I think their safety unit's not bad, but it could get better. I think the corner unit might be the most underrated thing in football. Carlton Davis, Murphy Bunting, I like a lot from last year out of Central Michigan.
Oh, Murphy.
Yeah, and then Jamel Dean. I mean, I like the corner unit. I think people are just a little ridiculous when ripping that. I think it's gonna be a good team. I think it's a contender. It might be the team to beat right now. It really might be. So, yeah.
Classic Tom.
Classic Tom.
Tom being Tom, I guess.
And, yeah, somebody asked me on Twitter yesterday, like, top 5 receivers in the NFL. And I was like, kind of thinking about it for the 2020 season. And I threw Chris Godwin in there. I think the jump he made, maybe not in general, you can't say Chris Godwin's the top 5 receiver. But the jump he made in, like, almost every category this last year, I think there's more improvement to come, and I think having Tom Brady helps that. And Mike Evans is going to be great still. Don't get me wrong, he's going to be great. But yeah, Tom Brady's like his favorite receivers are the kind of the do-it-all receivers, the guys that can cut across the middle field, catch the ball in traffic, and I think that's what Chris Godwin is. So I think that's going to be fun.
I'm just going to need a urine sample before I can say that I like the jumps he's made. Then I'll be all good.
Why is that?
You're a big urine guy, aren't you?
Well, when a guy takes a big jump in performance, you can't help but think there's something
He did put some
in the
size
water,
on it,
so
too.
to
What kind of
speak.
helps
Yeah,
when
he
your
put a little
quarterback throws
size
50
on.
times a game? So
Now he's
somebody's
going
gotta
to change
catch the
his
ball.
number to something that's going to make him look a little more beefy.
You don't need a
know?
Tom Brady urine sample?
Tom Brady, yeah, we might need a urine sample out of that guy, too.
How do you you're testing them yourself?
Yeah,
The guy,
I have a
the guy
urine
enjoys the
policy.
guy enjoys avocado ice cream. We don't need to test him. He's just
Yeah,
He's
but
just
I'm
a
not worried
freak
about
over
the
there.
avocado ice cream. I'm worried about what's in the avocado ice cream, Pete. You see what I'm saying?
no, he just takes care
Well,
of
he
his
just
body.
pisses excellence, all right?
All right, so let's talk about what number should Chris Godwin be.
I think he should.
I mean, I'll have to look at the roster.
He's gonna jump to an 80 something. Watch.
Oh, that'll be
can
terrible.
see him
No,
doing that.
he'll stay in the teens.
No.
I think Brady should choose a different number. It's a different
99. Brady should be 99.
Yeah, I don't think
Can't
it's-
do it.
Or his
I don't think
age.
that's
Can he
a
do
lot.
his
Should
age?
be number one. It should
No,
be
it should
number
be his
one.
age.
if he changes
His
his
age.
number and they win a Super Bowl, do they retire both numbers?
Yep,
Or is that a Kobe
guaranteed.
rule only?
Guaranteed.
I don't know. I think he's taking 12, but
When's the jersey
He's
reveal?
going to take 12.
In April, right?
I
Bucs
believe
jersey
so.
I don't know if it's gonna happen with the virus going on.
Well, I think it's already been had. Definitely already filmed the jersey reveal. It's going to be
I
like
don't know
how
if
the
it's like
Jets,
a big event or.
the Jets come out on stage. Remember that?
That's
They
what I
showed
mean. I don't know
their-
if they're gonna
their
do that.
stupid jerseys. Yeah,
Well, the Bears did the same thing.
the Bears. Yeah, they did that for their one jersey that they just one crazy jersey, but they'll never change their
Your
jersey.
Chicago Wolverine jerseys.
Why can the Bears just get like a revamped like jersey
I
thing
like
going
their
on?
New
jerseys.
one?
I liked them.
Well, no, I kind of want like an orange face mask type of deal.
Orange face mask.
I don't think you
know.
can
Yeah, I
do
want it.
that.
I want it to
That's
get. I want it
bold.
to get frisky. I want it to get frisky.
Yeah,
I
that's
thought you
old.
can't
for
change
sure.
the color of your face mask.
Yeah, actually,
Is
might
this some
be.
weird rule?
Yeah, there's some rule about that. I'm pretty
Yeah,
But you can't
Well,
change the color of your face mask.
you can't have like I don't know what it is. Like you have to get it approved, like to wear a second helmet or something like that. Like it's just a mess.
God damn it,
Like, I wish-
Goodell.
So
wish
the
the
Bears
Titans
went
could
through their
just wear-
trouble getting those stupid matte blues. Are you kidding me?
I think they could wear. They have a second helmet. They I think have approved already, right?
I mean,
They have a
players
Yeah,
get
but it's
fined for
stupid.
wearing wrong color cleats or some shit. I don't know
Yeah.
if that's still a thing.
I want the Titans to get those Oiler jerseys back. What I want.
No, the Texans.
I want the Titans to get a
No.
red face mask going on.
That just drives me nuts when the Texans think those are their jerseys. Like they're not your jerseys.
Oh, they're theirs, Pete.
No,
They're in Houston, Pete. What
it's
do
the
you say?
franchise.
Pete,
It's the
but
franchise jerseys.
JJ.
Yeah, JJ Watts wears Houston Oilers jersey. Thanks for supporting us.
You think the Arizona Cardinals are going to bring out the Chicago Cardinals jerseys next year?
Don't think so. Let's talk about some trades though.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
What do
So
you
a
got
lot
for
of-
us,
Give
Pete?
some like let's just give some like quick grades for them, like just winners, losers, maybe a letter grade in there
Maybe
for each
both.
one.
Maybe both. Well, I did this on all the trades on the Goat House Plus channel on
So
YouTube.
then you host it. You host
So
this.
I'm gonna host it here, so everyone already knows my thoughts. So we're gonna go over the big ones here. We got DeAndre Hopkins went. We everybody knows DeAndre Hopkins got traded to the Cardinals. David Johnson went to the Texans. What did a second round pick went with David Johnson to the Texans, and a fourth round pick went to Arizona.
Right,
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm going.
Ooh.
Are we ready?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to. Are you
A
giving
for
grades?
the
Okay.
Cardinals.
I agree.
A D for the Texans. Giving them
I'm
a
F.
D. I'm giving them a D because they got a second rounder. I mean, they should have done better. But DeAndre Hopkins also wanted a new deal. They got out of that, but they had to pay David Johnson. It was not a good trade for the Texans. I'm just defending.
So it's a D for deal.
I'm giving them a D. I'm defending them a little bit. But
for
yeah, it was
defending
D for
bad.
a little bit.
defending,
Okay.
yeah.
D
for
minus.
dipshit
D
deal.
minus.
D
D
minus for
minus.
dipshit deal.
I'm giving
Yeah.
them an F for fucking out of their minds. I'm
Yeah,
giving
it's
Cardinals
still
an
dumb.
A plus.
It's dumb. D minus.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and give them a D for Doozer, and then I'm going to give the Cardinals an A for just an absolutely amazing trade. Because
Can you clarify on what's a doozer?
like a doozy, like a doozy, you
You
know,
should have just said doozy.
Oh, okay, yeah.
or doozy, doozer, same
doozer.
thing, you know.
A Carlos
Tomato,
doozy.
tomato. You know what I mean?
I don't know about that.
But yeah, I think we're all kind of on the same page that Bill O'B needs to be the coach and only the coach, and if that, and the Texans need to actually maybe have a real GM.
Yeah.
Are we all in favor?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
Need an actual
I'm in
GM.
favor.
So the Vikings traded Stefon Diggs and a 7th-round pick to the Bills for a first-round pick, the 22nd overall this year, and they got a 4th, a 5th, and a 6th as well.
They got a haul, as they say.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I would grade it evenly pretty much. Like I think it kind of benefited both teams. The Vikings we talked about are a little confusing right now, but like they need to build to the draft, need to fill some holes. So they did get a first rounder. Makes the Hopkins trade look even worse. But we talked about the Bills. The Bills getting a wide receiver one that they desperately need, and I think he's a great fit for the Bills. So I'll give him a B plus I'll give a B plus to the Bill. Actually I don't know. Because the Bills did give up a lot, I feel like.
That's what.
I don't know,
Here,
though.
let me jump in.
I'm gonna give them both. I'm gonna give them both a B plus. I think both teams benefited from the trade because
E for benefit.
Diggs brought a lot of drama to the Vikings, and I just think it's better
That's
they
my
just
beef.
moved
That's
on.
my beef.
Yeah,
My beef is that Diggs got a lot of drama with him, and if things don't go his way early there, we might see some more. I mean, he's going to be locked up, so you can't really do much with him. They gave up so much for him, so I'm going to give him a B, close to B minus, but a solid B. And then the Vikings, I'll give a B plus because of the haul they got back from them. They desperately needed picks. They got the picks, so it'll work out in the Vikings' favor for the long run.
I'm gonna agree with Dan. Kind of keep them both at a B. Just obviously, I'm gonna give the Bills a B plus just because they obviously got the
I'll
immediate
give him a
player.
B minus, so you can't agree with me.
Well,
if I
I'm
give
just
him a B
flipping
minus.
that. I'm flipping the minuses and the plus just because I think that they got a player, an established player. But I guess the off the field stuff. I mean, Diggs is flirting with like Odell territory for me off the field.
How close is he? How close is that to Antonio Brown category?
Antonio Brown is in
Antonio
a league
Brown's
of
a
his
lower
own.
level.
Yeah, he's in a league of his own.
Two totally different leagues. Like I think, Diggs is like, well, we know what Diggs is. Antonio Brown just lost his mind. Like it's just totally
Right.
different.
Odell
I
kind of
think-
calmed it last year. He calmed it a little bit.
No,
I think
bit.
the Browns
He
PR
on the
was
Cardinals
just kind of
sideline
trying to
asking
hide
come
it.
get him.
Oh, true. I forgot about that.
Then he
That's
started handing out
hilarious.
money at the national championship. But whatever. We'll
And he
I
was-
just think that Diggs'
drunk.
attitude, he needs to like channel it for the field. Like, I don't know. All these players that are like, you can tell they're emotional players that are emotional about the game, but like
Why is it
channel
always
it.
receivers that have those issues though? Why
They're
is it
the
always
divas.
receivers?
Receivers,
The divas. Yeah, all receivers are divas.
Diva Diggs.
Yeah, Diva Diggs and Diva
You know,
I
Pete,
actually-
Pete and I played college football against each other. Pete was one of the biggest divas I ever knew.
Right,
Right,
One of the biggest ones.
right.
right.
Up there with Antonio Brown, T.O.
Diva Pete. Forget
Well, I have the
Pixie Pete.
grades in
Diva
the
Pete.
video, but I graded the Bills in the A ring. I graded the Bills better than the Vikings. I think even though it was a haul, I think that's what Diggs was worth. He's 26. You could argue he's the best route runner in football. I think it, and he fits their offense. And the Vikings take a dead cap hit with the trade. So I mean, I thought it wasn't like too much the Bills gave up, and I think he fits. Yeah, the only downside is kind of like you said, like will he cause problems? I don't think he really caused problems with. Like I don't think.
Did he just not like Kirk?
They just
don't
get
think
rid
it's
of his
a
Twitter.
Problem?
Can they
It had
just
to
get
be a
rid of his
problem.
Twitter?
I was kind of questioning that, and then once the day came that Kirk got the extension, and then Diggs going in crazy mode on Twitter, and then getting traded that night, I think it was pretty clear that he didn't like Kirk. I guess
Wasn't a fan of the nerd.
But
This is like-
isn't it Diggs's? Can he be to blame? I shouldn't say blame. I'm trying to think of a better word for blame. But after he went off on Kirk played lights out for a while after that. So technically, we should be thanking Diggs, right?
Sure.
I mean, but the thing is, this is what was. You can tell Diggs and Kirk would get in their quote unquote like a fight, and then the next game they just force feed Diggs, and you can tell like that was their way of making up. Just like, oh, just keep giving him the ball, make him happy, make him happy. He needs to understand that like, whether you get like 1 touch or 30 touches, the only thing that matters is winning the game, and I think he needs to understand that. There's a lot of players that need to understand that, but he's one of those.
Yeah, it's weird because it feels like he's kind of selfish a lot, but then there's times where he's like really like on the sideline, like trying to get everyone like we need to play better, we need to do this, and not in a bad way. Like there's like clear times where he cares about like he shows that he cares about winning and he wants to win, but then there's times like this where it's a little selfish. Maybe he just thinks Cousins is not going to be able to win. Like get to the playoffs, he can't win. I think. That's why I think he's different than Odell. I think they're both divas. I think Odell's actually. I really think he's kind of made the team worse by the way he's acting. Like Diggs, I don't think Diggs makes the team worse. Like the whole thing with Odell with remember the field goal net. Like
We
how
proposed to it, knocked it down.
Yeah, well, he hurt himself on it, and then later he proposed to it. But he was always pissed off. Like, he was always pissed off. He wasn't getting the ball, and the Giants were losing on top of it, so you couldn't really tell. Is he pissed off because he's not getting the ball because they're losing? And then I just remember this. They're getting their ass beat to the Packers. They're getting their ass beat, and the guy finally gets a touchdown, and he goes and does this whole stunt in the sideline proposing to the field goal net or whatever, and he's all happy. And that just told me everything I needed to know right there. Like, he does not give a shit if he's winning. He just cares about himself, and that's where I dislike. I don't like. There's not a lot of people I dislike, or there's teams I dislike, but I dislike Odell for that whole situation.
Well, my dad told me this a long time when I was growing up. He always told me to never trust a man who wears a dress. So ever since he wore that dress, I've been anti.
That's great
Odell
advice.
Beckham, and
Yeah.
I think it was
It's-
just a
it's
skirt. I don't think
something
it was
to
a
live
full
your life.
dress.
I don't care what it was, dress, a skirt, it's the same thing.
You never
Never
thought
trust
about
a
what
man
would it
with
feel like
dress.
to have a little breeze down in your undercarriage?
Are you a man who wears a dress? Are you a man who wears
Well,
a
I'm
dress?
actually in a
laughing-
skirt
I'm
as
just
we
laughing
speak.
'cause
I
you
got a
called
nice
it
breeze going on.
undercarriage.
I gotta go.
All right, next trade that happened, ladies and gentlemen. DeForest Buckner goes
Oh, Buck
goes from-
nasty.
Buck Nasty goes from the Niners to the Colts for the 13th overall pick. The Colts also extended Buckner to pretty decent money, over $20 million per year, but he's a big-time player. So Buckner for a 13th overall pick. Grades, go.
Giving the Niners an A. They wanted Eric Armstead. They paid him. They couldn't afford to pay both. They had to dump Buckner. And I think the 13th pick, like they just have so many options. There's
Doesn't
gonna be
sound
so
like
many
dumping to me.
So many good options there at 13. Yeah, it's not really dumping, really. Yeah, 13th pick is huge, especially with the quarter. There's going to be quarterbacks taken way too early, and then there's going to be a bunch of
Somebody's
offensive
gonna
linemen,
fall.
a bunch of offensive tackles taken, which the Niners really, I don't think are looking for really. So I think there's going to be some good defensive players. Or even, I don't know what they're going to do. They could go receiver. They could, I don't know. They could just
They
go a
could,
bunch of
Pete.
routes.
They're
They
going to have
really
so many
could.
choices. They're not
But
gonna
it's
do
just
it
going to be
themselves.
so great for them. The Colts, I'm going to give a B minus. I think they definitely got a player that they really wanted. They really needed. I think Bauer was talking about they really needed a top tier defensive lineman that could be great against the run and produce interior pressure. So they definitely got that. But again, that 13th pick is a big sacrifice. They don't have a first round pick now. They got to wait till the second round to make a selection in the draft.
Let me
But
just
yeah,
let me just add and I think Buckner's great. They got better with that, but I think reason people are saying, like the main reason they're saying why it was okay giving up the 13th pick is because who would they have gotten with the 13th pick? Like people are bringing up like Javon Kinlaw. Like he's not proven yet, and I can't stand when people use that argument. Like everybody was once in the draft. Everybody's a prospect, and they could become that player. Like these players like Buckner didn't fall from the sky. He was in the draft as well. You find great players. You build championship teams through the draft. I'm not saying it's bad for the Colts because of that, but I think that argument is flawed in many ways. So I just wanted to add that.
Okay.
Yeah, suck it, Pete.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and say that the Niners...
Pete's agreeing.
suck
I just
it,
wanted
Pete.
to add.
Yeah, what?
All right. Okay, all right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and give the Niners here. I'm going to give them a good A- here. I think that it shouldn't be an influence in my grade, but it is. The fact that they were able to bring back Armstead just kind of helps that this trade was good because they obviously zeroed in on which one they wanted to keep and extend. So I like that. I like anytime you can get a pick that's top 15. It's nice. You could always find a good need there, kind of a instant impact player. But the Colts, I'll give them like a B+ because I think that they're adding an established talent. So yeah, suck it, Pete.
Suck it, Pete.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna give both teams an A here. I think for the Niners, it's not every day a Super Bowl contender gets a top 13 pick. They could do a lot of things. If they want to get more picks, they could trade back. It's still an attractive pick, or they can take somebody at that spot. But for the Colts, you could look at the stats between their interior defensive line versus what DeForest Buckner did last year, and it's he's doubling pretty much their output. So huge for them. Good on them.
Yep.
Yeah. Nick Foles.
But hold on.
Whoa, suck
Whoa.
it, Pete. Come on.
You guys are getting out your stuff. But like, does Buckner was playing with Bosa, D Ford, and Eric Armstead. Like they were making him better. I mean, I know he was making them better. They're all making each other better. But who do the Colts have that he's gonna it's gonna take pressure off him?
Justin Houston, Danico Autry, and
not Nick
Get him,
Bosa.
Mark.
Not.
Get
Do
him.
you think they're any of those guys better than Nick Bosa, D Ford, or Eric Armstead?
absolutely not.
Absolutely.
So that's why.
They
That's
got
another
Phil.
reason why I think it's
They
a
got
B
Phil.
minus.
Yeah, what about Phillip? He's going to play
All right,
nice
anyways,
edge.
Nick Foles. Let's talk about Nick Foles. You guys want to talk about Nick Foles?
Foles traded to the Bears.
I would love to talk
for
about
a
Nick
fourth
Foles.
round pick. The pick they got from Adrian Amos, compensatory pick. What are you thinking?
What's up with the contract? That's what I didn't understand yet. Really, like, are the Bears paying his money, or are the Jags paying it, or?
Well, the Jags get I think roughly $18 million in dead money, just like any team that trades their player, they get the dead money. But
the Bears are paying.
But the Bears are paying, they pay his contract, but it was reduced. I don't think we actually saw the amount of money that he's
Well,
getting.
that's gonna affect my
I think
grade.
his guaranteed's the same. I think they just spread it out.
It's essentially
They
a
added some
one-year
options.
deal, actually, because they would save money. Well, it gets a little confusing with the contract, but any contract. But now that they have Foles, and let's say it didn't work out this year, if they cut him at this time next year, they would save money. If they never traded for Foles, of course, they would have more money, but they would save money if they cut him. And usually the contracts with these quarterbacks, it's rare that teams would save money, but. So it's a friendly contract, I think, even though it's a lot of money. That's what I would call it.
Right.
I want to hear what the Bears guys got to say.
It's got to be an A+ for the Bears. They got better at the
A+.
quarterback position. A+ for the Bears. They got better at the quarterback position, which nobody can deny that. Not even Trubisky lovers.
Not even
And
Trubisky.
they technically, if you think about it, yeah, true. Technically, they didn't really lose that pick because it was a compensatory pick, so that pick never really mattered. So I'm
they
fine with
lost
losing
it.
that pick. Yeah, it's fine. It never really mattered.
Mattered a little bit, but I see your point. I see your point.
Yeah.
All right.
They
all
kind
right,
of
may-
need picks.
May I go?
That's
May I go?
the problem, but yeah, go ahead.
There you go. All right. I'm going to give the Bears here. I'm going to give them what I'm going to do is a B+. I'm going to give them a B+. And the Jags, sure, adding picks, awesome, but the dead money kind of makes me give the Jags like a C-, D+.
Well, there's no way around it. That's the
Right.
unfortunate
It's
thing.
dead money. Yeah, that's the thing with the
But
Jags.
they'll save money in the future though, because there's no.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know if you really That's what's kind of. I don't know if you factor that in. They do have the dead money, but like they did get a fourth round out of it, and it was kind of just like, and they're rebuilding. It seems like they're rebuilding anyway, so it just seemed like I thought they got a pretty good
I don't
Pretty
think
good
either
deal for
team
him.
overreached. I mean, to get a 4th-round pick that's for Nick Foles, and you're already getting rid of him, that's fine.
Yeah.
Bears didn't overreach by giving them a 4th-round pick and taking the money.
I agree.
I think the thing that was interesting is like when we were talking about the Bears, and it was like what it seemed like it was between Cam Newton and Nick Foles. It's what it seemed like, and I just don't
Andy
think
Dalton. Don't forget about Andy
Yeah,
Dalton.
we're gonna
Don't
forget
forget
about him. We're
about
gonna
Andy.
forget about him.
I don't know
Thank
if that's
God we
actually
didn't
an
get that
option.
guy.
You don't. I just don't know if I think they made the smart choice and not throwing the 4th-rounder to Carolina just because one, Cam's not going to restructure his deal. That's no way. And two, Cam Newton's shoulder for the last since he had that initial shoulder injury, every time he throws the ball, just something just does not look right. And I don't know what it is, but like you don't throw a 4th-round pick when his health is the biggest question mark. So I think the Bears actually, I don't know. I like what they did. Like I said, it's a B+ for me. I think that there's no question he's the day one starter, no matter what they come out and say. Because I've been lied to by the Bears brass, we'll say.
Well, I think
And,
people
so suck it, Dan.
overreacted from a couple months ago. Pace saying Trubisky's their guy. Like I think people overreact because what else was he gonna say? Trubisky was their quarterback at the time. So
I'd agree with that too, but when you have the players, like even Cordero Patterson was like talking to people, and Bears fans are like, well, we have Trubisky, and he's like, well, we want competition here. We want competition. Even the Bears players were, in that echo chamber repeating the same thing.
Love the echo chamber, yeah.
Yeah.
This is a tough one to grade. I want to know how much the Bears are paying Foles, but it's a lot of money to invest in the
well, I
quarterback
think they're
room
gonna.
there.
It's gonna be around a $15 million cap hit this year. That's.
It's a lot of money in the quarterback room. That's not the most talented over there, but
Hey, it's a
definitely
Super
an
Bowl
upgrade.
MVP you're talking to.
Hey, yeah, that's a
He
Super Bowl
hasn't played-
MVP right there.
I just worry about like he hasn't played a full season as a starter, and he's had injury problems. That's everyone's arguing about why he's better than Cam Newton because Cam Newton's always hurt. Well, Nick Foles always gets hurt as well when he does get his chance to play. So I kind of worry
So what
about
you're saying is
about
Trubisky
that.
should start the year, get us close to a
Maybe.
playoff run, then have Foles finish it off.
But they might be out of
I
playoff
mean,
contention.
here's
Now with the expanded group.
Then we're
here's a
closer to a
question.
top 5
Here's a
pick.
question for you guys. Do you think Nick Foles starts all 16 games?
Yes.
I don't think so.
I don't think he gets hurt. I don't think he's going to get hurt.
You can't predict an injury. You can't.
Yeah, you can't predict an injury, but if I'm going
No,
off like
you
his
can.
skill, well, I'm not going to. My answers, me saying no is not like I'm going purely off of skill level and like skill set. Just like I think that obviously if healthy, he will play every game.
I say no,
We'll
he will not.
I don't think so either. But I mean, the action he did play last year.
Played last week.
Yeah. I don't think he really looked that great, honestly. I mean, I know it's the Jags; they weren't very, very good. But I mean, the Bears need.
He also
some
came back
weapons.
from an injury, though.
I'm saying like in the beginning of the year, he only played one game, but he
Could
was
you
a
throw
little,
a touchdown on a
little
play you
rough.
break your collarbone? Can you do that?
No, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm gonna give both teams like a B- here. Honestly, I don't know. I think it's kind of like a fair trade-off. Like we talked about the Jags already. Like they got a 4th rounder and they were already gonna dump them anyways, and they're rebuilding. So it's good for them to get that. But obviously they have that dead money to worry about. And then the Bears. I mean, I don't know if it's not really a fix for their quarterback situation. Like it's a short-term fix, but not really a long-term fix. So yeah.
We'll see what happens in the draft this year and the next.
They don't have any picks to pick a quarterback this year.
They have 2 in the second, Pete. 2 in the second. People forget.
As long as it's
Who they
not,
get? Who they getting? Who
as
do you
long
want?
as it's
Jake
not
Fromm?
Hurts.
You want Jake
I don't want
Fromm or
Hurts. I don't
Jalen
want
Hurts?
I'd be okay if they got like a 7th-round guy from Utah State, some no-name guy.
No,
I'd be fine with that.
Jordan Love. Jordan Love's
Utah
from
State's
Utah
going
State.
first round.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'd
this
be
kid's out
fine
of
if
his
they
mind.
got somebody from Idaho State,
Idaho State.
or
Alright,
ITT
that's
Technical
fair.
What is that
Institute
going to
State.
do though?
I know the quarterback when I was at ITT Tech was pretty decent.
Who's
What's a
Harvard's
7th round
quarterback? Let's get a
quarterback
brain
gonna
up
do?
in there. Who's Harvard's quarterback?
Um,
I don't know.
All right, next trade.
I'd be fine if they don't if they
Set
do
this
not
last
get one or if
trade
they
up.
get somebody super late. That whoever they get this year, we know they're probably never going to see the field, so it doesn't even matter. Next year, that's a different statement. They will
Darius
have a first
Next
round pick.
Slay.
trade.
Darius Slay traded
Darius
from
Slay.
the Lions to the Eagles for a 3rd and 5th round pick. What do you got, boys?
Eagles.
I mean, the
A.
Eagles needed to
Easy.
upgrade that secondary easily.
Easily an A. 3rd and a 5th for Darius Slay. I think Darius Slay is still one of the top corners in the league. And they definitely, yeah, like Junior said, they desperately needed some help in the secondary. They didn't get Byron Jones like I thought they were, but definitely take Darius Slay for the third and the fifth. And then we talked about the Lions. I mean, I don't know what they're doing over there really. Like
I mean,
replacing
knowing the issues, I'm gonna give the Lions an A too because obviously there was
a
an
third and
issue
a
in that
fifth
locker room.
though. I give them a
A third and
C.
a fifth. That
Give them a C.
I mean, it was already out in social media land. There's nothing you could do about it. To get a third and a fifth when he was throwing a temper tantrum on Twitter, yeah, I'm giving them an A as an organization. Obviously, you want to do your best to keep them, but as the organization, they knew they couldn't. They got a third and a fifth round pick to get him
All
out of the
right,
locker room.
C plus. Give them a C plus.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and give them a C plus as well for an organization. And then
The
I'm gonna,
organization.
but I'm gonna give the Eagles. This is like a B plus A minus territory.
I think
It's a
What,
big
what does the
upgrade.
organization get though? What is the
The
organization?
organization that's an A. That's an A, just a straight A.
Oh,
The
okay.
organization.
Are we
Because
sure about
you
that,
needed
though?
to upgrade.
Hey,
Dan,
Darius
I'm
Slay-
talking, Dan. So I think that you needed to upgrade the secondary, but their secondary is still questionable. But
One thing that might
you got a great talent.
One thing that might bump it up the letter grade, Darius Slay is wearing number 24 for Kobe Bryant, so
That's a good bump up, Pete.
that's a good
That's a
bump
good
up.
bump
That's-
off.
He's just pandering to the crowd. He's just pandering.
Yeah, because it wasn't Kobe a Philly fan?
Oh yeah.
He was?
Oh yeah, yep.
Let me ask you this. So what if let's say this happened here. So we know the Lions traded Darius Slay, and then with the third overall pick they took a cornerback. It would be Jeff Okudah from Ohio State. Like, what would your thoughts? Would you have any thoughts on that? What would your thoughts be on that? You look at
I mean, my initial thought is just like Okuda's play is very sloppy. So if he can clean that up,
No.
All
I
the
think that
penalties.
no penalties.
all the
all right?
penalties he had,
I'm
I
not,
think
re-
that if he,
I'm not really asking you to judge Okudah. I'm just like, does anybody have any thoughts?
He's a good player.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
But to me, it's weird. Like it's confusing to trade away a corner to go get another corner because you look at the first pick. We'll say it's Joe Burrow. The Bengals get a lot better with Joe Burrow. The Redskins add Chase Young. You know, we know what pass rush can do. We got a top tier pass rusher. That defense can be absolutely nasty. They get a lot better.
You're in the driver's seat there at
and,
3.
and you're in the driver's seat, and you're kind of
Vroom,
going to go
vroom.
back to where you just were a month ago, where you traded Darius Slay.
Yeah, it's just dumb.
It's just I think you only trade Darius
Silly.
Slay. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think they're going to Kuda.
You don't think so? I was kind of
I think it'd be kind of a waste to go corner that early.
yeah.
Or maybe
that's-
trade back, get an extra pick, and then pick him
I-
late.
I think they should trade back. I think teams will be looking up to get Tua. I think they should trade back and because the Lions
People are
need,
going to try to jump the Dolphins there.
Lions need some help like in multiple places.
Yeah. Before we wrap this up, one more thing I want to talk about real quick. There's a lot of top tier free agents or even guys you can trade for out there. But there's 3 that really stand out to me. Jadeveon Clowney, I think, is the top tier for the number 1 free agent available. Jameis Winston, I think it's going to be very interesting to see where he goes. And then Cam Newton, who probably will get released and signed. So I just want to hear your guys' thoughts on maybe where you you don't necessarily have to have a prediction, or maybe just where you want to see those guys go, or a prediction.
Well, obviously, I want Clowney in a Titans uniform.
Do you think
think
he's
that
going
is-
to be there?
That's tough. Like, there's just so many rumors going around. I think it's down to them in Seattle. Really, I've heard the Colts and I've heard the Jets in there, but I think
Giants,
it's really down.
perhaps?
I think it's down to the Titans and the Seahawks. We'll see.
I would agree
what
with that.
happens.
But if I'm a betting man, I'm going to say the Titans are going to do whatever it takes.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I don't know
I
if
think
John.
the Titans are going to try to give him the bag, but I don't know if they can.
I don't think John's gonna give him the bag at all. I think they're literally just like. I think that's why he's like kind of still sitting there is because he's like, he knows he wants to play for Vrabel and like the Titans 'cause it's a good team, but like I don't think they offered him like anything crazy. Honestly, I don't think that's something John Robinson would do.
He's going to end up signing a 1 year. I can see Clowney, like no one's going to lock him up because he's asking for too much. He's going to take a little less on a 1 year, which actually helps the fact that the Titans could potentially get him. Because I
feel
think
bad.
if they're going to get him, it's a short-term thing. It's not going to be lock him up.
We're just gonna. Oh, I was gonna try and move on here. I feel.
go ahead.
I feel bad for Jameis over here. Just like. thought he
Well,
was
that's
get-
what happens
had
when you
his-
throw 30 picks, Pete.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I know, but just saying, he had his eye surgery. He was feeling good. He was thinking 30 million, and he's not even gonna get close to that. He might be a backup somewhere. But I remember Chris Sims was talking about, I don't know how this team's gonna pull it off, but Chris Sims was saying like perfect fit would be the Steelers, and I agree. I would like to see him like go to the Steelers and
Ooh.
take over for Big Ben after he's
Ooh.
done. I feel like he'd be, I think he'd strive in that system. But like that's where I would like to see him go. I don't know where he's gonna end up going though.
Yeah, that's a
Interesting.
good question.
I don't know.
I want to see him go to New England. I'm a fan of Jameis Winston. I mean, he can't throw 30 interceptions, and I'm not going to like that. I think he'll cut it down, but I'm a fan of him. I think he just really wants to win. He always gives it all. I think it's a reason for the interceptions too. Like he doesn't want to give up. Like he doesn't want to throw the ball away, which is a bad thing a lot of the times, but. And then you see him tweet yesterday, like pretty much saying goodbye to Tampa, and he loves, had fun, loves them, and then
You left out the best part of that tweet.
Well, I'm not done yet. I'm not done.
Okay.
2020 vision.
He says he's gonna see them in the Super Bowl, and he's a confident guy. He's not cocky to me. He's confident, and then the hashtag 2020 vision. He's a funny guy. He's funny at the same time. So, I'm rooting for Jameis Winston. Would love to see him in New England. That'd be great, but I think the Jags are kind of a sneaky team because they lost Foles, and do they really believe in Minshew? I'm not saying it's going to happen. I think it's a wild
I
card
don't
team
think
there.
so.
Yeah, I don't think so, but I think it's a wild
That'd be a
card.
team-friendly deal if he did. Like,
Yeah,
I
'cause
think
this is
it
a lot
will
of
be.
money.
he'd start over Minshew right away.
I think it would be a
I
friendly
can
deal at
see-
this point for
I can
wherever he
see-
goes.
We know Jameis is a fun guy. What city has another fun guy? Let's send him to the Chargers. Two fun guys in LA, him and Kawhi would be quite the scene.
Kawhi.
Yeah, Kawhi's a fun guy.
Complete
You got
opposite
Jameis.
personalities.
They're
Yeah.
both fun guys. They're both fun
Fun guys.
guys.
Kawhi's quiet as hell. And Jameis is out.
Yeah, but he
Kawhi
says
threw
he's a
30
fun guy.
interceptions once.
He said he's a fun guy.
Yeah.
So I mean, I
Like
think
funny like looking or funny like haha?
Speaking of the Chargers, that's where I want to see Cam Newton go, and I hope
Hmm.
they take a chance on him. I don't know why not. I don't know why they're just like going Tyrod Taylor and they're all in on Tyrod Taylor. I just don't really understand it. Afraid to get better.
I think they're saying they're all in on
Yeah.
Tyrod because they're drafting
Yeah.
one high.
They are going to draft one high, which that kind of ruined it too. Like they're showing
They
all
still
their
need a left
cards.
tackle, and they could
They're
draft
showing all
one,
their
maybe.
cards.
They're gonna
Right
get
there.
screwed. I feel
They're
bad
gonna
for
get screwed.
Tyrod.
Yeah,
He
Ty- I
signs
feel
with the
bad for Tyrod,
Browns.
too.
He's the guy. They end up taking Baker. Tyrod starts and then gets gypped by Baker. It's going to be the same thing. It's going to be the same thing. Halfway through the Chargers season, Tyrod's not going to be the starter. I can promise you that.
Yeah, we'll see what they do. Yeah, I love the Chargers like signing so far, but yeah, there's some negative things in there. Like they haven't dealt with the quarterback situation when they can deal with it, and they're kind of like Pete said, they're kind of just showing what they're gonna do, and they do need a left tackle still too, and that could be a prime. They can get a pretty good left tackle with that pick they got there early in the first round.
I think they're just super talented. We talked about it last year. I had them going to the Super Bowl, and I still think they're a really talented team. I think they should just go for Cam Newton and
Or Jameis.
just try to shock the world.
I
Honestly,
think
I
that'd
think-
be a great spot. I'm starting to believe the Redskins is actually a possibility. I've heard they've had some interest if he's released. I think he will be released, and I think they believe in Haskins. I think getting Cam on a one-year deal wouldn't mean they don't believe in him. I think the Redskins defense, let's say they had Chase Young. I mean, even without Chase Young, but let's say they had Chase Young. That defense is gonna be real good with Ron Rivera. Like when you have a defense like that, you expect to win games. Like they're winning in their mind. They're winning this year. So you want a quarterback that's going to put you in the best position to go along with that and help win more. So Haskins, I like Haskins. He's I think he can win now. How far is he going to get them though? They may have a better chance right now at Cam. I think a one-year deal helped develop Haskins more. I think that makes sense actually, but some people think it's a long shot just because they have Haskins, and some people still think they're going to draft Tua second overall. So it's going to be an interesting next month here.
Where do you think Andy and his Little Red Rocket are going to go?
It's a little red.
Why is it
rocket,
Little
huh?
Red Rocket?
I'm kind of sticking by what I've been saying. I don't think he gets traded, but I think he'll get cut because I don't think they're going to take a $17 million cap hit on a backup quarterback. Maybe they think he's a good coach for Burrow too, so maybe they will, or maybe they can somehow get a pay cut. I don't think he's going to take a pay cut. I think he would rather go. I think he would take a pay cut to go start. Really, I think he'll be cut. I think it's going to take some time. That's why it's tough. Because I think the Patriots would take him. I think the Chargers, I think maybe even the Jags would take him if he was cut for cheap. But the problem is they're gonna have to sit around for a bit, I think, because the Bengals could afford to wait to cut him. They can kind of play hardball and try to get something out of the trade like they've been doing. I don't know if they can though. So that's why it's really tough to predict with him because, like the Patriots have interest apparently, maybe if he's cut, but by that time did they already sign Jameis or get Cam Newton maybe? That's why it's tough. I don't know.
I think I want to see one of these quarterbacks, these veteran guys who could potentially start. I just want to see somebody go to the Jets because
Why is it always someone you want, huh?
I
Why is it always something you want?
Darnold
You're gonna
stinks.
get ripped. You're gonna get ripped for that one.
Darnold stinks. They need to put the pressure on him. You
Okay,
need to put the pressure on the kid.
Let me step in here. I've never been a Darnold fan. I'm still not a Darnold fan. He actually showed some bright moments at times, like after he was seeing ghosts. He stopped seeing ghosts. He started to look a little better. But I'm not really a big believer in him because he's always been turnover prone. I don't really think that goes away. But at the same time, you got to go with Darnold. Like, he's got potential still. He can be, he can be solid. I think he'll always have the turnovers. I think he can be solid. I think
Why not light the fire under him? Bring in
better.
someone who's actually challenging him for potential starting role.
I don't. I'm not a believer in that. I don't think. I think bringing a quarterback in, kind of like if I'm a quarterback on a team and my team brings a quarterback in, I'm kind of pissed and also ready to prove something at the same time. But is that going to make me a better quarterback? Am I going to play better because of that? No. I may be more of a try-hard in practice. I don't think it's actually going to make me play better. So I don't really.
I think it doesn't even
agree with
depend
that
on
take.
you. It depends on the guy coming in. If somebody's going to come in knowing their job is to mentor, but could potentially start, I don't know. It kind of depends on the guy coming in.
Well, I think they should. I'm not a huge Darnold fan, but I think they should roll with him. I think he can get better. I think the team can get better, and I don't think there's any chance they bring anybody in to possibly
You think?
start.
I mean, I'm not saying there's a chance, but you
Yeah,
think I'm going to
just
get ripped for
clearing.
that?
Well, the good thing about actually, I'm putting this one up on YouTube. So I was gonna say, good thing about the podcast is you don't really get comments on there. But you're
this
gonna
is
get
good
some,
for me.
this
I
is-
take it back. I take it back. I take it back.
Yeah. This one.
Take it back.
I'm gonna put this episode up on YouTube this week.
No
So,
takebacks. No
a lot
takebacks.
of
I already
good-
did. I already did,
A lot
Pete.
of good free agency action in here. We talked about a lot. Talking about Odell's undercarriage. I think you brought up. That was a good topic.
I was talking about my own undercarriage.
Were ya?
I would never talk about another man's undercarriage.
I think you're saying you would wear a dress so you can let your
No,
undercarriage.
I said that I
breathe?
am. I am wearing one.
Oh,
I thought you
Right
I
now?
thought you were saying that you were thinking about Odell's undercarriage in the shower.
How did that happen?
I'm
Okay,
pretty sure
that
that's what you
spun
said.
out. No.
Well,
Dan, let's end this. Dan's getting off the rails.
we were. What is this? Hour and 37 minutes in. It was a good one.
Oh boy.
It was a good one, folks. That's going to do it, though. We'll have more podcasts. We have all kinds of videos on both of our channels, two channels, the Goat House and the Goat House Plus. All kinds of free agency and NFL draft content on there. More to come. That's going to do it. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.